H-1B visas are not America first. There's no way it can be America first. It's untenable with the idea of America first. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to the Shermichael Singleton Show. I'm your host, Shermichael Singleton. And there's a lot of people who are talking about H-1B visas. There's some people in the Republican Party who are pro H-1B. There are some who are not pro H-1B. I am in the corner of not being pro H-1B. I don't believe you can be America first and talk about Americans first and be H-1B. I mean, let's just talk directly about this for a minute, because I really need you guys to understand why I am firmly against the H-1B visa program. And I'm not saying this to be dramatic, because there's some people who are just saying it because it's cool to be anti-H-1B. No, I actually really believe in being America first and for Americans first. And so I'm saying this because once you really peel back the facts, all the layers of the onion, it's not just the talking points. The facts really showcase that the H-1B visa program is hurting Americans. It becomes clear that this system just doesn't work the way it's being promised. Now, you've all heard the excuses. Hell, I've heard the excuses. I've seen them on social media. Even President Trump, in a recent interview with Laura Ingraham, said that you got to have them. You got to bring them in because we don't have the talent. We don't have the skill. The quote is, this program brings in top talent because we don't have enough skilled Americans. Well, if we don't have skilled Americans, well, maybe we should invest in them. We keep hearing if we don't do this, then we'll fall behind China. Well, let me walk you through why none of that holds up. First, here's the scale. Every single year, we bring in 85,000 new H-1B visas. That's a lot of freaking people. And when you add in all the renewals and extensions, then you've got over 700,000 H-1B workers in this country at any given time. That's about 1.3 million people when you include their dependents. That's not a trickle of talent. That's a shadow labor force that's competing against real Americans. And here's the truth that no one ever wants to say out loud. The H-1B program is not primarily about attracting the quote unquote best and the brightest. The evidence shows it's about giving companies cheaper, more controllable labor. That's what they're doing. They're getting rid of Americans for a cheaper talent pool that they're outsourcing from India and elsewhere. Let me show you exactly how we know this. The National Bureau of Economic Research studied what happens when you bring in this labor. What happens when companies win more H-1B lottery slots? Well, the findings were simply devastating, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research. American workers' wages go down, not up, they're going down. American job opportunities do not improve, they worsen. Company profits go up because the labor costs go down. That is not what you'd expect if this program were filling rare, hard to find skill gaps as some people are advocating. Many H-1B workers are paid below the median wage for the same job in the same location that an American could and would do. That's not what you'd expect if these jobs truly required rare expertise that we as Americans lack. And then there's the case of HCL Technologies. Google this company, one of the biggest H-1B users. Internal documents reveal that this company, according to the Economic Policy Institute, was paying H-1B workers significantly less money than American workers doing the exact same damn job. Tell me how that's helping Americans. This is a direct violation of the program's supposed wage protections. They're not protecting wages. They're protecting the company's bottom line so that companies can make more money. So when someone says, well, by law, companies have to pay them fairly, I can point to documented cases showing that companies simply do not. They're not paying them fairly. They're paying them less and firing a whole bunch of us. Let me give you another undeniable example. In 2022, the Economic Policy Institute found that 13 of the top 30 H-1B employers were outsourcing companies. Those firms hired 34,000 H-1B workers, and guess what? Laid off 85,000 American workers in the same period. So if you're hiring tens of thousands of visa workers and laying off tens of thousands of Americans, that's not filling shortages. That's replacing us, the domestic workforce, with foreign workers. And then they say, oh, the fraud. The fraud doesn't really happen. Give me a freaking break. Fraud isn't rare. According to the U.S. Department of Labor investigation, 21% of H-1B petitions contained fraud or technical violations, and more than a quarter involved employers not paying the legally required wage. It got so bad that the government had to launch a dedicated enforcement effort, Project Firewall, specifically tackled at cracking down on wage theft, fake job postings, and illegal displacement of American workers. But yet we're being told H-1B is all about bringing in talented people because Americans can't fulfill the jobs. Our government didn't launch dedicated crackdowns just because they didn't have to. They did it because it's a serious problem. Hello, somebody out there has to understand this. And here's the moment the whole argument falls apart for H-1B supporters. In 2025, President Trump's White House itself admitted in a presidential proclamation that the heavy use of low-wage H-1B workers is detrimental to American workers' wages and jobs opportunities. And yet, in an interview with Laura Ingraham, the president is now saying something different. I don't know why. I don't know who's gotten to the president. I don't know who's advising the president. But what I do know is that merely a couple months ago, the White House had a very different opinion on this. When the federal government publicly admits the program harms us Americans, then the debate should be over. But yet the same government is now saying that H-1B is great for America. Let's talk about the real impact on actual Americans, especially young people entering tech fields. This part matters more than anything because this is where the real damage is done. Supporters love to say, oh, H-1Bs are less than 1% of the workforce. Oh, hell, that's technically true, but that's irrelevant. That's a moot point because according to United States Citizenship and Immigration Services and Pew Research, 65% of all H-1B visas go to computer-related jobs. And those jobs are heavily concentrated in Silicon Valley, Seattle, Austin, Texas, Northern Virginia, Boston, New York, exactly where American graduates in computer science are trying to start their careers. So it doesn't matter if they're less than 1% of the population. They're heavily concentrated in a pivotal sector in our country, a sector where a lot of young people who are getting degrees can't compete because they're being outsourced. Lower wages are going to people in other places. If you're a young American graduating into these markets, you're not competing against quote unquote 0.5% of the national workforce. No, you're competing against a labor pool saturated with workers whose immigration status is tied to their employer, which means they have far less bargaining power and will accept lower wages. And the companies know this. You can't compete against this. Your sons and daughters can't compete against this. Your granddaughters, your grandsons can't compete against this. Future generations can't compete against this. And the National Bureau of Economic Research again proves the consequences. Without the surge of H-1B labor, Americans in tech will be making 2.6 to 5.1% more. We'd have more Americans in tech by 8 to 10%. That's not hypothetical. That's measured economic impact. Someone is losing here, and it's not the damn corporations, it's you. It is you. It is your sons and daughters. It is your grandchildren. But yet we're being told America can't be great without H-1B. Now, let me address the three biggest pro H-1B talking points that I keep hearing over and over and over again. And scrolling through my phone on X over the past couple of days, I keep seeing these arguments, and they're BS arguments. And I know I sound angry about this because I am. There are so many talented people in this country who never get an opportunity, who never have the proper investment or pipeline to help them get those great jobs because companies are incentivized to go hire cheap labor versus hiring at home versus building the pipeline at home. The first pro H-1B argument that I keep hearing over and over and over again is that we don't have enough skilled Americans. No, that's not true. what we have is a lack of investment in actual Americans. Companies used to train workers. They used to partner with high schools and community colleges and apprenticeship programs. They used to invest in mid-career retraining. Well, H-1B, well, it allows them to stop all of that, all of it. This isn't a skills shortage, ladies and gentlemen. It's a training shortage created by corporations and the government, who's okay with those same corporations choosing the cheaper option. Then the second argument I keep seeing and hearing, if we don't do this, then companies will go to China. Let me tell you something. If a company's entire business model depends on exploiting visa loopholes to underpay workers, that's not a national security argument. That's a threat. And the threat is to you, the American worker. That's the irony and the painful irony of all of this. If beating China were truly the goal, we would be aggressively building American STEM talent. We'd be investing in American kids. We'd be expanding computer science education and apprenticeships nationwide. Instead, companies are offshoring jobs and importing cheap labor and hollowing out our own workforce. That's not how you outcompete China. That's how you weaken America. Then I see people saying, well, these workers are more skilled. If that were true, you wouldn't see below median wages. You wouldn't see 21% fraud rate. You wouldn't see tens of thousands of American workers replaced. You wouldn't see outsourcing firms dominating the program. You wouldn't see wage suppression as documented by the National Bureau of Economic Research. Highly skilled workers command higher wages in a free market. H-1B workers are systematically paid less. That tells you everything you need to know. Here's the bottom line, the way I see this. We don't have a talent shortage. We have an investment shortage. We don't lack brilliant young Americans of every race, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, who are born in America, who can trace their lineage, whether it's a generation or more, to this country. We don't lack those brilliant minds. We lack companies willing to invest in them, particularly our poor whites and poor black Americans. So yes, this program needs to be ended and rebuilt from the ground up with strict enforceable protections that put American workers first. A great nation does not outsource its future. A confident nation does not tell its young people, well, we'll just import your replacement because you're not smart enough to do the jobs. A country that claims to be America first should damn well act like it. And what we're seeing right now is not America first. It's America second and you last. I'm Shermichael Singleton. Let me know what you think in the comments section below about H-1B visas. Is this really America first? I certainly don't think it is. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.